All right, joining me via Zoom, gentlemen I have on about once, twice a year. Always love talking ball with them. Auburn Tigers sitting at 16-4 overall right now. The head coach, Bruce Pearl. Coach Pearl, how you doing, man?
I was better a week ago, Aaron. Thank you. But how are you doing?
I'm great. See, here's the thing, though. You're a very tough man to get a hold of, especially this time of year. It's a busy time. Team was playing great. I figured I'd put in the request. Maybe we talk in February, but your staff is amazing. They put me in touch this week. Things didn't quite go to plan, but listen, here's bottom line. First of all, let me ask you this
And
because
then we didn't cancel. And then we didn't cancel. We take the interview after two L's.
no, and I appreciate you doing that. Listen, I'm not going to name names. There's a lot of guys in the business that would have said, hey, we'll touch base here in a week or two. Let's see how things are going. But you and your staff are always unbelievable and gracious with your time. Let me kind of do a glasses half full thing here. Obviously, look, there's no moral victories. There's no whatever. I understand why you're in this business and how competitive you are. I do think, though, doesn't it speak to how tough the SEC has gotten? Because you've been in this league for what, 20 plus years now. If you go back to the previous stop,
2000 and I think I started at Tennessee in 2005. So I guess next year will be 20 years. Yeah,
I'll give
with a
you.
little hiatus. I did have a 3 year,
You were a media guy like me.
2 year hiatus. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, you were a media guy like me. Is it? But in a serious way, is this the toughest the league that has ever been in your opinion?
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's really good at the top. It's unbelievably deep through the middle.
Yes.
The middle may drop all the way down to 12 teams right now. Missouri and Vanderbilt are both really good basketball teams, and they're really competitive, and they play really, really hard. They can beat anybody in our league. They're the only two teams right now that are looking out a little bit. But the rest of them are alive and well and all within range of the NCAA tournament if this league could get as many as 9.
Do you, listen, we talk about, the portal and NIL, all that stuff is a negative thing. I think it's allowed schools that maybe historically haven't been as good to maybe get a caliber of player that they have. I mean, it's tough at the top, but in the middle and bottom, it probably helps those teams, right?
There's no question. The NIL has been a great equalizer for the teams that are in the bottom of our league. Why were the teams in the bottom of our league? They weren't winning enough. For us at Auburn, let's say the last 7 years, we've been ranked in the top 10, 5 out of those 7 years, which is incredible. We've won a couple of championships. We've been the last team in the SEC to been in the Final Four. So we were able to sell all those things, plus about 6 or 7 guys in the pros and 5 one and dones. And so we've developed some players, and so now that stuff matters, but that doesn't matter as much as NIL.
Sure.
Or it doesn't matter as much as promises to start and play and do different things. All it's done, though, is the teams that couldn't say that can now compete with everybody else in the recruiting process. And so as a result, you've seen teams able to get turned around really, really quickly. It's great for the league.
So let me ask you kind of a follow-up to that, because this was something, I've been wanting to ask you, frankly, since I started watching your team here in November, December. You mentioned, other places, and it's not a bad thing. It's just a reality. Promises to start, promises that you guys play like 11 guys, and all of them can play, and all of them are sacrificing. I'm just curious, again, in this world where everybody wants to play right away, everybody wants a promise of this many minutes. How did you put this group together? Because that you guys are one of the few still in college basketball. You really utilize your bench. You're deep. I've seen your players talk about, hey, I'm proud that when I step off the court, we don't miss a beat. How have you developed that culture? Because it's really kind of unique, really, at this point in college hoops.
Yeah, you know what? Part of it is just in the recruiting process, trying to be honest and as I get a little older, you do look at this profession more as a ministry. If you don't lie to kids, they will run through a wall for you. They will stay with you. And so, every now and then my staff will say, Coach, God, BP, could you just promise him a little bit more? He doesn't think you believe in him, or you don't think he's good enough. Jabari Smith came in here and played 27 and a half minutes, not 35 out of 40. People were wondering whether his motor would run, whether he could do more than make a jump shot, whether he'd affect the game defensively, would he play hard and physically? And the answer to all those questions were yes, because he didn't have to play the whole game. And so he was able to, and he was a great teammate. Did he want to be out there? Sure, he did. Do the guys want to be out there more? Of course. Do they want to average 18 instead of 12 or 12 instead of 8? Of course, they do. But we believe very much in playing hard, being fresh, being furious. We can withstand foul trouble. We can stand injury. And hopefully at the end of the year, we are not either physically or mentally exhausted because the kids have had to play the entire game all the time. That's why I think we've been good in March. It's just a philosophy. I've always played 10 guys double-digit minutes, always. It's just that less and less, fewer and fewer people are doing it. I literally had 11 guys scholarship recruited players. Leo Berman earned a scholarship this year. Carter Sobera earned a scholarship this year. I can't keep 11 happy scholarship players happy. How am I going to put 13 out there? And so that's part of our philosophy, the sum of our parts.
That's really interesting. So I would imagine, quote unquote, negative recruiting, whatever. But so sometimes in recruiting, guys just think, oh, because you don't promise this, or because you don't promise that, it's like, oh, he doesn't think I'm good. I had never really thought of it from that perspective.
Well, I mean, I think the other thing too is if you recruit somebody to get him, you got to tell them you got a real good chance to start. You got a chance to play third. You got this, you got that. Then they get there, they got dudes. They all got dudes. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden, it's not what they said it was going to be. Now you got conflict. Now you've got promises made, promises not kept. And so I try to promise less, deliver more. Now, Jalen Williams, for example, is having a run where he's playing really, really well. Struggled this weekend, but he's been playing great basketball, let's say the last 7 or 8 games prior to this past weekend. His minutes have increased because he's earned them. And that's just sort of what you do. You don't jerk them around. You don't jerk them in and out. I made one change in the starting lineup, very few changes because the guys earn it over a period of time. And so the guys can't play their way into whatever role they're going to play their way into. They can't.
Very good. A couple more. We'll let you out of here. We know you're tight on time. First of all, dumb question as well. How much, again, you want to get back on track. I know it's frustrating. I assume that it's got to help though, as you get deeper into the season, not just in the SEC, but as you get into March. Is like, I watch the league every night. There's no nights off. There's no easy teams. Is there a glasses half full? Like, this is going to help us in the long term, every single night having to go to war?
It does. And you got to embrace the grind. You got to beat everybody you're supposed to beat. And you got to beat a couple people that you're not supposed to beat. So far, we've beaten people that we're supposed to beat. We're not supposed to beat Arkansas by 32 with Arkansas, but we did. We've only won 3 times in 20 years at Vanderbilt, and we did. We've got Vanderbilt coming in at home. They played us even. They may have even outplayed us a little in the second half. Vanderbilt's capable. We've got to be fired up and ready. We played really, really well when Ole Miss came to Auburn a couple weeks ago. Might have been our best game. And I think we beat them by over 20. But we played great. I don't know that they played that well. Right now, they're playing really well. And I don't know that we can play as well as we did at Ole Miss. That's going to be a tough game. So, again, I've said it before. We're a little bit better than what people thought. We're not as good as they think we are right now. And it's not that the 2 losses prove that. You go on the road, Mississippi State, and you go on the road to Alabama, and you have a chance to win like we did both games. That's where you want to try to be. And so the margins of our victories and the closeness of our losses, including the fact that all 4 have been on the road, is why our math is so good. We just got to take it one game at a time.
I saw you say that even before these last 2 games, the idea of that, maybe the record, maybe we're not quite as good as you guys in the media. So what made you say that?
I know what we look like without lipstick. I mean,
sure. Wake up first thing in the morning.
Yeah. Oh, actually, don't knock first thing in the morning now. Don't knock that. My wife looks beautiful. She looks beautiful first thing in the morning without her makeup.
But the Auburn Tigers, on the other hand,
yeah. No, I mean, I know who we are, and I know that we're playing. We played really well. The question is, can we play really well against the best teams on our schedule? At Alabama and at Mississippi State are the best teams on our schedule. Now, I mean, those are both NCAA tournament teams. Alabama is Alabama's the most underrated team in college basketball.
Hmm.
Way underrated. You look at their losses, unbelievable quality teams they've lost to. Um, they're athletic, they're well coached, they score. Anyways, um, yeah, we're in position to be in position, Aaron, and that's all you really want to. That's where you want to try to be.
Last thing, obviously, again, no nights off. I think that's the theme of the conversation. But for the next six are at home. I mean, that's a positive. But again, everybody, there's no easy outs in this league. I think every Auburn fan wants to know just, how do we get back on track, get things going in the right direction again?
Well, we got to we have shot it better at home, and that's a hope we'll continue to do that. And in our losses on the road, we really struggled to make open shots, and we just got to continue to play good defense. Our defense is what kept us in the game at Alabama and at Mississippi State. We do that. We do a better job of rebounding. All right, and we'll win some more games.
Coach Bruce Pearl, man, I know you're busy, and I'm sorry that I hit you guys up at the wrong time.
Well,
Uh,
man, it's Aaron. It's great to be with you. I've reached out to you before. I don't read a lot. I don't have time, but I always think you've been real in your
yeah.
work. I don't read all your work, so I can't say that. But when I've seen you work, I've seen you be fair, and I've seen you be real. And this day and age in the media, that's worth a compliment.
Well, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. We'll do this again here, hopefully before the end of the season. But thank you. I know you got to go be with your team. So thank you for the time, and we'll talk soon, Coach. Okay.
Okay, man. War Eagle.